Okay, sounds good. So welcome everyone. So I'll be doing the work of secretary, admitting people in while we have this conversation. So thank you so much, Bukola, for deciding to join me on this call. And I purposefully said to Bukola on our mentors forum that Bukola, you have an amazing story that people can benefit from. And I think you'll be the best to address this session for people to see how how possible it is for people to land the kind of jobs they have. Now, before we eat right into it, now I just want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. So I've got a lot of people that come to me to say people have had different. Some people are like they finished schooling, they need a job, not just a job that sponsors them. Some people don't really care about sponsorship just because their partner has gotten sponsorship or something like that. So they don't really care. They just want a job that aligns with their goals. What I have seen come out the most from the people that have reached out to me or the people I've spoken to is that a lot of people are making a career transition at the same time that they're looking for a job to sponsor them. And that may be a bit tricky. So, for instance, someone has been a banker while they are back in Lagos, but now they want to do something, maybe project management, other than maybe they've been in sales or they've been in whatever you can imagine. So they're changing their career path totally right here. So they're asking, how do I do it? How do I get the kind of job I want and all of that? Now I'm going to say this. This is everything we'll be saying on this call is just based on our own personal experiences and just our own personal opinions. And we do not have all the answers, but there are a couple of, at least I know that I've had a couple of mentees that have landed jobs that have sponsored them. They came in to do their master's program like this. They've gotten a job that sponsored them, and it is really possible. So that is where we're coming from. So we don't have all the answers, but I mean, from our conversation today, there are questions coming out of here or whatever, we can then know how to address subsequent sort of events like this or meetings like this. So that being said, I think a good way to kickstart it is to let Bukola talk to us about her story. And I know she's also got someone else who has gotten who came for their masters and gotten the kind of job they want. So she'll share a story with us. We'll listen to that, and then from there we can ask our questions. And I've got a couple of tips as well that I've prepared to share with you guys in terms of what you may be looking at to do maybe differently or to add to whatever strategy you have now. So thank you so much, Bukola. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Aurelio. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'll do my best to just answer everyone and say my story, share with everyone. I might not have all the answers, but I'll try as much as possible not to pick it out and I'll be very, very detailed and see the whole thing. So I moved to the UK last year. I was tired. I needed a break. So I came in for masters, not just Japa. I actually wanted to do master. I just needed a break from work and everything. So probably before coming for my master's, I worked with EY Nigeria. So I went to University of Lincoln. I studied accounting and finance. So, and I have a son and I have an husband. So I can't do this alone. So I had to talk to my husband. It was just a risk we were all willing to take. And we're like, okay, you know what? My husband is a finance person. And we're like, I can't leave my work and follow you to the UK, but if it's what you want, then I'll support you. So we have to strategize. Okay, not just about me, it's about my husband. How do you want to go about it? And we're like, okay, he needs to do this. Then figure everything was just easy. Because they needed him in his office, he was allowed to work from home while in the UK, and he had to be strategize and tell them, okay, you can't pay me in naira. I'm not spending naira here. You have to pay me in foreign currency. And they agreed and finalized that. So that's also helped. So leaving that aside, I came into the UK, I started my master's. 3 months down the line, I already know we know what we want. I know after master's what next. I know I'm not going to Nigeria. And I know like okay, I need a good job that will sponsor me. So we already know what we want. And okay, we need to just push. And I know I don't need to wait till the end of my master five start applying. So I saw an opportunity on LinkedIn. A friend sent it to me and said, oh, Bukola. And my husband was like, damn me, her name is Dama. Like, I'm just 2 months to the program. I've not started. Like, give it a shot and let's see what comes out. Like, okay. So KPMG they were recruiting for experienced hire in different sectors. And I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. Let me push. Meanwhile, I have no understanding about UK tax. And I applied. 2 months later again, I was like 4 months into my master's. a recruiter reached out to me. So anytime they hear that, oh, you're a student, they run away because we are restricted. You have just 20 hours to work. So I didn't allow that to discourage me. Yeah, I was just like, okay, if I can get an interview, let me see how it works. Let me see the question they will ask me, even when I know I'm not ready to work. So it's fine by me. And the recruiter asked me a series of questions. We had a coffee meeting. And I'm like, okay, you know what, push your CV and let's see what comes out. So back to the opportunity I saw on LinkedIn, I applied. I never knew my CV would land on that same recruiter's table. So he came back to me like, because I saw your CV now. You know what? Go back and edit your profile. Tell them that you're still in university doing your master's. Because when I took that out. So like go back, edit it and put it there. Which I did. I was like, okay. I uploaded and that was it. Then I still continue. So while waiting for the recruiter to come back and KPMG to come back, I had to speak to a lecturer in university that, oh, I'm not familiar with UK tax. What can you advise? I was like, okay. The lecturer told me that he's not good in tax. We can speak to a senior person who will advise me. So he came back, was like, okay, Bukola, this is the book you need to read. It summarized the Finance Act, summarized everything you need to know about UK tax. And I said, okay, that's so that was the information I needed. So I have to create time out of my tight schedule. Like, okay, if I can do 2 hours studying UK tax, it will go a long way. So if I'm being opportune or KPMG calls me for an interview, I will know what to say. And I have to take my time, 2 hours, 1 hour. I make sure I read that tax law every day. I just make sure and it will make sense to me. And I come back home, discuss with my husband, just to have someone to talk to. And I was doing that. It wasn't easy because I have lectures 4 times a week. So it wasn't easy on my side. And I have a child, I have to work. I just have to just balance everything that we actually know what we want. Then a month later, KPMG came back to me. I did the first stage, I passed. We proceeded to the next stage, which is the interview proper. And I was asked, thank God I read the tax law. I read some parts of UK tax and I focused because I was working as an indirect tax person in Nigeria. So I had to focus on that bit too and understand, okay, in Nigeria, do we treat this? In UK, how do they treat this? Which was the same question the interview asked me. And they were like, okay, how do you do this in Nigeria? What's your understanding? I don't understand UK tax, but I know the theory. So I was able to explain in my own word and I was able to relate it to what we do in Nigeria and I was able to relate to what they do in practice. I was able to ask people questions, and with that, they were actually convinced. I could see it was a long interview, like 1 hour plus, and they were asking me, okay, how do you do this in Nigeria? How can you relate it to what we do in UK? So I had to explain, tell them what I know, tell them what I do in Nigeria, because it's not a graduate role. They needed someone that is experienced. I had to tell them how I interface with clients, what we do in Nigeria. I explained everything I know. And they were impressed, but they needed someone to resume immediately. And for the fact that I'm still doing my master's, it's just 6 months. They needed someone that will resume immediately. So the guy was like, okay, they will get back to me within 24 hours. So maybe I will proceed. 24 hours, nobody reached out to me. I reached out to the recruiter. He said the partners are deliberating, that will come back to me. And I know one thing for sure. If you don't pass an interview, they will come back to you. They don't waste time. They will tell you, so sorry, it's unfortunate, we can't proceed. But nobody's coming back. So I was like, okay, is that a green light? Then after a week, the recruiter come back, was like, oh, Bukola, they needed someone, but what we'll do is because you impress them, they'll put you on the system. If there's any opening, probably before you end of your master's, we'll let you know. So fingers crossed. I was still reading my tax because I was like, I can't put my head in KPMG. I've not gotten an offer, so I can't because they know how to manage you. I was like, no. So I keep applying. I was getting rejection. I was getting, but I didn't allow that to limit because it could be discouraging. They'll call me for an interview. Once they hear I'm still in school, they will tell you they'll come back, they won't come back. So I was like, okay, I think the one I have at hand is my best option. So later on, the recruiter came back, was like, oh, hi Bukola, can we have a talk? Oh, the first interview I had was for indirect tax. Like now it's not indirect tax again, it's real estate. Like real estate, okay. I know nothing about real estate. Like just read, you are smart, read about it and make me proud. You know how recruiters can be. I said, okay, no problem. So I went back again. I went to read about real estate. The guy came back again, said, no, it's not real estate again. It's something else. So I was tired at the point that I read this, I come back. It's not as if it's what I'm doing. I come back, I read something else, I come back. And I was like, after 2 weeks again, came back, was like, this is the final one that we need to discuss. And you know how recruiters can be if they have something at hand, they just want to push it. So like, oh, this one is stamp taxes. Like, stamp taxes. I have no understanding of stamp tax. Like, just read. I would call you tomorrow morning to have a talk to you about KPMG, what they need to know. It's not an interview, it's just a chat. I was like, are you sure? She said, yeah, it's just a chat, it's not an interview. I said, okay, no problem. But in my head, I was like, chat, these people are very, very funny. I need to be embarrassed. I was like, let me read something about stamp tax, even if it's a chat. I should know what to say. I can't just be there and be saying, okay, it's a chat. So thank God I read something about stamp tax. This guy told me it's a chat. It was 45-minute interview, and they were asking me about stamp tax. What do I know about stamp tax? So because I was in indirect tax in Nigeria, I have a little understanding of stamp tax via the training we're always doing. I just had to pick what I know in indirect tax in Nigeria, and I read about stamp taxes in UK. I was able to relate it to each other and just tell them what I know, and that was it. And the following day, the recruiter called me and was like, "Kola, congratulations, you made me proud. I'm so sorry. We've been on it for like 6 months. I'm so sorry, but you got the job." And I signed the offer. And that was like 7 months to do my master's. On a normal norm, I can always say I'm not doing master's again because I already had my series and everything. I was like, no. And the recruiter, I told him I would have to resume January because my master's in December, January. That's when I can resume. That's the best time I can. I was like, okay, that's fine. They're willing to read that. Before they do the whole process and everything takes a while. And by November, I think October, November, if I'm not right, I already had my new PLP and I was still doing my master's. Then January, while I was writing my dissertation, I started working. And that's the whole summary of the whole work shared. So people have different stories. Like, it's not just because I have big for experience. I also have a friend that she worked as a banker in Nigeria. She came for masters during pandemic, and she didn't allow that because during pandemic, most organization and firm they've not gotten their bearing right. They are laying staff off. Most people, nobody wants to sponsor you because they don't even know what's going to happen. And she took it. She was like, she doesn't want to do anything care or support. So she applied for post study. So while she applied for post study, said she was checking, aside from recruiters were not even reaching out to her. She was going to each company's portal and apply, go to their career page, and she was just applying, applying, applying. She was getting rejection, but that didn't discourage her. She was applying. And luckily for her, BDO called her. She wrote their test, she passed. And this same person is not a chartered accountant. She wrote her test, she passed, and she went for the interview. And she got the job. A year after, recruiter reached out to her and she got KPMG. So she had no big four experience. She worked in Access Bank while she was in Nigeria. And she was not doing anything technical. But what I could learn from her story, she actually knew what she wants. She pushed for it. She was tenacity. She pushed everything and she was intentional. And she got the job. Now she's writing ACCA. So it's not about, oh, I have big first. It's about going for what you want, know what you want. It might not be easy. You get several rejections, but don't allow that to discourage you. And at the end of the day, you get what you want. And one thing I've learned is the moment you stop applying, you limit the chances of you getting your dream job. But once you keep applying, one day someone will call you and reach out to you. And once you have the opportunity, because you prepared for that opportunity, you don't just wait till you have 2 days to your interview before you start preparing. But once you start preparing and the opportunity comes, trust me, you feel it. And that's it. That's my story.
Thank you so much, Bukola, for sharing that. And I mean, there is a couple of things you've mentioned, which I've always said to mentees who have reached out to me personally, as to trying to land a job here. Now, it is hard. I think we can all agree on that it is hard here. It is difficult. And landing a job you want is not just what makes it difficult. The fact that we also need sponsorship makes it even worse. And a lot of organizations are really running away from that sort of responsibility. And we can all agree that it's difficult, but because it is difficult does not mean it is impossible, and does not mean that people are not landing the kind of job that they need. So a couple of things I got from what Bukola said is this: number one, read for anything you want to get. So you need to study. And I mean, whether you are even in it or not, I remember when I was interviewing for insurance back then in 2019, as at that time I had experience in investment banking, asset management, that kind of deal, banks, large commercial banks. That was my experience. But here was I interviewing for insurance audit. And the insurance audit here is even, especially if you're now doing Lloyd's of London kind of syndicate audit, is even a different thing. But I had to read IFRS 17. Imagine in 2019, IFRS 17 is just coming into is just taking off now. In 2019, I had to talk about IFRS 17 in my interviews. So for every interview you attend, you will need to read up about it, whether you know it before or you don't know it before. Of course, you need to read about it. So that, I think that what that says is, don't just apply to something you feel this is perfect. This was not exactly the thing I did back home, so this is perfect. That's if you're looking for the perfect role before you apply. And some people come into my DM and say, I have seen this role, I think I may qualify for it, should I apply? That is never a question. As long as you feel remotely qualified for it, if you read, if you study, you can do it, then you should do it. Another thing I learned from what Bukola said is this: relationship with recruiters is important. At every point in time, a recruiter, so just my own case, I'm not actively looking for a job, but I've got a lot of recruiters in my DM telling me, oh, there's this opening, there's that opening. What I do with recruiters is I don't just say, oh, I'm not interested. I tell them, I am not interested yet. I'm not looking for something now. However, I am warm with them to say, see, at the point where I become interested, I'll reach out to you. So I keep it open. So they say, yeah, that's fine. Whenever you feel. So I keep it open and I start their messages. When I need it, I go there. So whenever a recruiter reaches out to you, they would have reached out to you by calling you, via email, via LinkedIn. Make sure that you leave the communication open, because they are recruiters, and by the virtue of their work, a lot of opportunities will come through them. And there's something about recruiters. In 2019, when I was also trying to get I chatted to a couple of recruiters, actually. One thing I noticed is, because they are working with a lot of people, you need to stand out in the midst of the people they are speaking to. And the only way you need to stand out and come, like, be on top of their mind is if you are always on their case too. Even if you're not looking for anything, just to check on them. Oh, I just want to check on you. How you doing? You know, I just say, I'm still looking for something. But anyways, if anything comes up, just let me know. If you do that at least once a week with every recruiter you've ever met, even if another friend of theirs maybe is sharing a table in the offices, oh, and there's one finance role, they're gonna be like, oh, there's a finance, because I think it's a mind game. Even if you keep checking on them, not every time, it's not like every day, maybe like once a week. If you check on them, they begin to feel a need to rest, a need to solve your problem. It's a sort of mind game. So it's not just you looking for something, it's also them to say, oh, I'm still here, I'm still looking for something in case anything comes up, you know, just checking on you, hope you're good, hope you're enjoying this weather, you know, that kind of thing. So make sure that you're building relationship with the recruiters that you've gotten so far. And that thing I learned is, and a recruitment chat is an interview. I think we can all agree. They will say, oh, it's just a chat, you know, it's a lie. It's an interview. Proper one for that matter. Prepare as much as you can. In fact, if you are going to attend an interview like this one, I remember there was one, just to say a personal story. When my husband came in, although he came in as a dependent, my husband tried to get a job for months. There was this opportunity, he then go, and then he went through about 4 stages. For every single stage he went through, he will prepare slides, and the slides he will prepare, so he will tell them he wants to share his screen with them. So that's off of, oh, tell me your weakness, tell me your strength. This is, I want to present something to you just to demonstrate my technical capability. It will use the color of the company, and it's very good with those kind of things. So it will use the colors, the company's colors. It will even go and pick their logo as though he's a staff that is presenting something. Of course, they picked him. Of course. So you need to, you know, you need to prepare for every opportunity you get. And so when they say, oh, just be relaxed, it's not the one that you'll be taking a recruitment call just because it's not video, you'll be taking it under your duvet. No, every opportunity is important for you to get the kind of job you want. Now, finish your program. I like what Bukola said, and it's usually one of the things I say to my mentees. So someone, I mean, you have just come into the UK, say, this is June, yeah? So you came into the UK maybe in January, and your program is not finishing until the next like 1.5 years, and you're looking for a job. Yeah, I understand. I don't know if that thing is still on where you can switch your visa, whatever. I don't know if that's still on. But my first question is, do you not want to finish your program? Because it's always fine for you to finish your program. Other than even when you land a job that can sponsor you and all of that, it's always also okay for you to have that UK degree, such that if you then want to progress as well, it will be easy for you to progress. So you must think long term, not just short term. Oh, I want to stay back in the UK. Oh, no, so finish your program. Don't get diverted, or don't get anxious, or don't start feeling. And a lot of people, and I just want to slot this in, a lot of people start feeling like if they don't get their visa to stay back in the UK, the world has ended. No, that's not it. Like, UK is not the only Western country you can settle in and have a fine life. So I mean, while you're here, while you're trying to land a job and whatever, that should be option A. You can have option B, C, D. So you can have Canada, you can have Australia, you can have, there are other European countries as well that you can go to. I have a couple of mentees in Ireland, in Malta, all over the place, basically. So you need, the only reason why people get so anxious and they are not having a proper plan is because they feel like, oh, because I'm in the UK, by the time I'm done with my studies, I must get a job in the UK. No, you don't have to remain in the UK. So you need to open up your mind. There is the US, there is Canada, there is whatever. And then your MSc or MBA or whatever program you've come to do in UK only solidifies your qualification and all of that and prepares you for whatever other challenge is out there. So don't treat UK as alpha and omega, as the holy grail. I have to remain. No. And that's why a lot of our people miss it. And that's why a lot of people just give up and say, oh, okay, let me go and do this work I don't want to do. Because you feel you have to end your journey here in the UK. No, you don't have to. So just have that at the back of your mind. And then she also said, go for what you want. And I'm going to put that side by side with don't settle. You need to have a goal in mind. So some people actually, while they were back in Nigeria, probably they worked as a corporate accountant, an accountant in a private company. They are here now, they probably studied something along the lines of maybe IT or project management or something data related or whatever, cybersecurity or whatever. And you're like, oh, I really enjoyed it while I did in school. So I want to change my career pattern. I want to pursue this full time. It is fine. You can pursue it full time. It would definitely be difficult just because it will be hard to prove to whoever you're interviewing with that you've got that particular experience. But that does not make it impossible. So you must have a clear core plan as to how you want to expressly tell the recruiters or whoever is recruiting you that you're fit for the job. But if you know what you want, you can definitely get it. And I've got a couple of points that can really, really do help before we take questions. So I mean, there is it depends on what you're trying to go for. So if you're going for accounting related stuff or you want to become a management accountant here, I know usually they would say some people do have ACC already or ICANN, but if it's ICANN, even if it's ACC, I know a lot of recruiters tend to favor people who have like CIMA. So if you have the financial capability to go for that program, you can go for it, or that certification, you can go for it. At least show that you are in the process. Register to write the first one or something along those lines. So if there's a certification that has put others above the curve such that you're being disadvantaged, then you need to think about doing that particular certification so that recruiters can always come back to you. Now, another thing is volunteering, and I'm going to use this volunteering very loosely. So this is not just volunteering to go and sell in a shop or whatever. No, this is volunteering in the line of what you want, basically. So whatever you want to do, there will be maybe a charity program, whatever, something along that line of what you want to do. So you need to go and search for something you can do for free in your free time, maybe 2 hours per week. It can be as low as 2 hours per week. And you are able to put it on your CV that you volunteered to do this. But it has to be in the line of what you want to do. So that research is up to you for you to go and check. What can I do? That if it's a Friday afternoon, whatever, you're schooling, if you don't have something to do, you don't have work during that time, can up and go and do free work and put it on your CV and glamorize it and all of that. Now your CV is also important. I know everybody should know this, but unfortunately some people still do not know that the CV they brought from Nigeria cannot work here. And then some people also, I mean, some people pay for the service. If you are able to, if you can afford it, by all means. If you can't afford it, there is this national careers. There's this Gov UK site that has what your CV needs to look like, basically, and it's very detailed. So sit one day with you, take your CV on the side and check, and make sure that you bring your CV up to that point where it is solid. Now, like there was one event we had, and I really liked what someone said on that event. Your CV is not where you dump all the things, all your job description from your last job. So, oh, I was a sales and marketing manager. I developed sales campaign. I checked in on my team members. Those are just job description. What did you achieve? Is what should be sitting on your CV. So now go back to your CV. Whenever I open people's CVs, because people send me loads and now unfortunately I don't even review CVs because that's not my line. But one thing I say on people's CV is you are not talking metrics. What did you achieve on a week-to-week basis? What have you achieved for your company? If you're doing a deep think of all the things you've done back home, you will see that you've actually achieved a lot. So year on year, the sales you've got on your team was maybe whatever 70% of budget, whatever. When you got there, you had 102% year in, year out, whatever. Bring all those metrics. That's what they want to see. Achievement, steady, consistent achievement. That's what is sitting on your CV rather than, oh, I have a team of 7 people. I have morning calls with them. All of those things says nothing. And all those, I am a diligent worker. That is the attention to detail. All those things. No, as in really, like, that's not what you need on your CV. Of course, there is what's the job description. Make sure the job description matches your CV, but let it match it in the achievement kind of way. So I have achieved this, and I've achieved this, and all of these skills are transferable into the new role, basically. Now, get a structure and a strategy. When I talk about this strategy, I've got a lot of people who have come back to say, because we on our what's it called, shared folder on the group, on the mentees hub, we've got this job search strategy template. I usually say, if you've ever come into my DM to ask me for mentorship in the line of I'm looking for a job, I would have told you this. Go and pick that template and write out the number of companies that you want to sponsor you. Oh, now listen, let me take that back. Take that template, go to gov.uk. You already can see, before you even go to gov.uk, what are the companies you're interested in as a person? What companies do you like? If I work here, I will be happy. Or I want to work with this brand. List them out. That template gives you up to 15. But determine, you can write up to 25, up to 40. The more the merrier. List out all of those companies, then determine what is needed of you. What grade? Some people don't even know what grade, because while you're in Nigeria, some people have even got up to 15 years work experience in Nigeria, and you will come here, you'll be applying for a graduate entry level. Why? Don't do that at all. Or don't do that at all, because let me tell you, if you get that rule, you have set yourself back 15 years. You've set yourself, whether you like it or not, you've set yourself back 15. Forget all those experience. It's not experience. It's rubbish experience. Never do it. Start from where you stopped in Nigeria. If you've got 5 years working experience in Nigeria, you should be approaching middle management level here. And those are the kind of roles you should be applying to. Roles that are like side by side with what you were doing back in Nigeria. Don't feel like, oh, because I need to, because I have to, whatever. Don't do that. So make sure that you've got a structure. List out all of those companies. Make sure those companies have street credibility to sponsoring people. Now, as you can see on this call, how many are we on this call? We are not up to 15 on this call. So this call is not for Gugberu. It's not every other person can say, oh, I'm just going to do anything. All the people on this call, you're not going to just do just about anything. Make sure you have a strategy. If you put HSBC on your list, what role in HSBC am I going to fill? What grade? Because some people don't know. So it means you need to do research. I don't do research for my mentees. My mentees do the hard work. I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to do research. What grade? Would I be a manager? Will I be an assistant manager? Will I be a VP? Whatever it is, go and do the research. Then what do I need to do? Would they tell me to write an assessment? Because some people are just applying. You see a role on LinkedIn, applying. You don't even know what it is about. Then they'll call you. You will now start saying agbado things on the call because you've not done your research. You've not done anything. So you need to, get to the point where you know the company, you know the role, you know the requirements of the role. You've listed everything that I'll be asked to write an assessment. I'll have to do 2 levels of interview. What sort of interview questions will I get? And then that can help you prepare for the sort of questions and everything that you need to. And then, of course, be open-minded about opportunities. So because you worked in a bank in Nigeria, in fact, here, yes, banks should be on your list, but it should not be priority because you can use your skills just about anywhere. You've heard Bukola say a friend who has worked in a bank got a job in BDO and then she's now in KPMG. For all the people that say, oh, it's because you have Big Four experience, that thing really, really, really is bad. People, I've actually got a mentee. One of the first people I mentored on LinkedIn last year, who came in with just a little over 2 years of work experience with the same Access Bank, just to maybe like a year and a half before the person came for their masters, and from there they got a job in one of the banks. Just a little over 2 years of work experience. So before you start saying, if there is no work, or it's only people that have Big Four experience, and it's not just Big Fours that sponsor people to remain here. It's not just Big Fours. They're investment companies, they're banks, they're name it. The one people lose guard on is even government parastatals. Government parastatals are the most famous for sponsoring people. If they say they will sponsor you, they will sponsor you. Even up to the NHS, back office, they will sponsor you. So don't go the route, or know what you want and stick to it. Develop a strategy. This is what I want, and then go for it. And then please, in the meantime, they're going to say no to you. A lot of no's will come. So this is not you are not building a beautiful cake that does not have disappointment. No, a lot of no's will come. And if you have been applying, a lot of no's will come and you will get agitated. That's why every time a mentee comes to me, I always tell them you must have option 2 or option 3. And one of your options is you don't absolutely need to remain in the UK. That's one of the options. So you must not just say, oh, I'm applying, oh, my life is going to end. Once my post-study visa is over, that's the end of my life. Oh, okay, let me just go and do this 5-year sponsorship thing that they now do. No, don't do that. So you must always have those opportunities open. Now, and also there's something I wanted to talk about, location. So because we are all based in different places, when you're applying, first on your CV, don't put your address on your CV. A lot of people, except the work requires you to be in a particular place that says, oh, you have to be in London. Then if you've got a London address, put the London address. But other than that, United Kingdom is fine. United Kingdom is fine. So go and look at your CV. All of you that I know you live in a very touristy, nice environment. Don't put it on your CV. Because as a recruiter, I'm looking for someone in London. You're in Bristol. You have applied. I'll first move your CV one side first and attend to those that are in London, because I don't want to be having communicate talks later when it's time for you to resume that, oh, I'm in Bristol, I can only come in once a month. They don't want to have that conversation. So you just put United Kingdom and that's all. And if the job is like in like West Midlands, like where I am now, you can say West Midlands. It's fine. You don't need to call out where you are. And I mean, why I said that is, once you've gotten the offer, the remaining is just talk. Okay, the remaining is talk. If you need to travel, there is functional trains. There are trains working. It's fine. You will sort it out. But get the job first, and then you can sort it. And if you need to move your family, yourself, like me, I used to be based in London. That's where I got my job. When my husband came and he got his job is in Birmingham. So I helped. I followed him to Birmingham. But guess what? I still travel to London almost every week to do my work. I still go to London. So if you are allowing location to be the first thing you're talking about before you even land the job, then something is going to go wrong. Now, see, we're going to have a couple more sessions when it comes to like interviewing, because you need to take charge of the interview process. If you've gotten a call that let's talk to you, we want to talk to you. Now, it means that you can be offered the job. If they don't give you the job, most times it is a you problem. It is, that's the fact. For a recruiter to call you to say, we'll give you this job, or we can give you this job, but let's interview you to see that, to just be sure, to convince ourselves that you're the right fit, and you don't land the job. There are two things. It's either someone somewhere is doing something better than you, or you yourself have decided not to prepare for the interview. It's one or both. So when you get to that point, I've got in our group, whatever, I've loaded some videos there on interviewing. Go and take a look at it. When it comes to interview, the way personally I treat my interviews is almost a do or die affair. I take an A4 paper and I write out all the questions I could be asked, and I write down all the answers I could give. And I don't just say, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And I say, my strength is I'm technical, or I'm pay attention. No, for every question you ask me, there is an example I'm giving you. It is an opportunity for you to give an example. So you see all those fantastic things you did in Nigeria that, or wherever you're from, that they did not appreciate you for. This is the time for you to start saying them. So you answer the question and say, for example, there was a time when you must have all those stories. You story that you will tell them. So don't just go and say, I am attentive to detail. No, that's not answer to anything. Every question you get for an interview, and please, you're not going to get plenty interviews. You're not going to, because you are looking for sponsorship. So you're not going to get you're not going to get plenty interviews like that. It's not as if it's every week people will be calling you for interview, except you don't have any other thing. You're just applying, blah, blah, blah. It's not every time. So those few times when they call you for an interview, be over ready for them. Like, be over ready. Like, give them everything. Go and take a look at that video using the STAR approach and all of that. And then when I say STAR approach, a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people know the STAR approach, but they just, ramble around it. And some people are not even confident and whatever. See, one thing I tell people is this: as long as you were not there with me where I was working before, I have 100% right to paint my own story. So I'll paint you my story. You will eat it up. You will buy it. And even my story is true because I've done all of those things. I've spent the last 10 years of my life building technical competence. And then I'm going to make you feel so bad if you say no on me. You're going to feel very bad because of the kind of confidence, because of everything I'm bring up. But you feel so bad, like, oh, I don't want to let this person go. You feel really bad. So so we're going to have on the interview stuff. I mean, depending on the questions you guys ask and things come up, we can talk about that later. But please, patience is very important. Patience. Start early. Start early. Like, if you've got 6 months to go in your program, 9 months, 6 months to go. Don't go and start. You come in January. You're starting in January. It's just a recipe for disappointment. You just want to make yourself very sad. Don't do that. Focus on your program. When it is getting to the time when you're writing your thesis or all of that time, start applying. There's a reason. Anybody that so for instance, put yourself in a recruiter's shoe. I'm asking for a role to be filled. Usually they'll put out the role if they want it to be filled in like the next 3 months. Basically, they'll put out the role. You are only starting a program that will end in the next 2 years. You are applying for it. How does that work? So, but 6 months down ahead, you're going to finish in 6 months, you're going to finish in 4 months, then put in your strength in it. I know there are some, what's it called? There are some like, so you need to also find out here. I know there's Indeed, there's read.co.uk, there's LinkedIn. Don't be far away from LinkedIn, especially. There's LinkedIn. If you're able to afford the LinkedIn monthly subscription, afford it. They send a lot of jobs. Unfortunately, I'm not looking for a job. So all the jobs they send me, I'm not interested. But I know that it's really, really good. So if you can afford it, even if it's like a month, if you have that free 1 month, whatever, turn it on when you need it the most, and you will see all the jobs that will come to you. Let me stop here. I know we can do other sessions just because I know you may have questions here and there, and then we really want to take a couple of your questions. So yeah. Thank you, Bukola, for supporting me on that one. So I'm going to stop here, and then I will take your questions. If you've got any question you want to ask, we will try our best to answer your questions. So over to you guys. And if you don't want to talk, you can drop it in the chat. That's also fine. Nobody's got a question. Interesting. I want to have an early, I want to have an early Sunday evening. So even good, like real one.
Someone is raising his hand.
Yeah.
Hi, Bukola.
Hello.
Hi.
Uh, Good evening. First of all, let me appreciate you and I think I will just say your namesake for
Yeah,
the
actually.
for the wonderful maybe presentation and insight regarding what you guys have discussed so far. Well, just like how you guys have discussed, actually from our own end there, we know we are still aspiring to see how we'll go and have the opportunity someday for
Yeah.
the master's program outside.
Yeah.
But we are still like maybe starting from the basics in terms of okay, I'm in a firm now with Mazars Nigeria. But I
Interesting.
think there's a discussion I have with one of my colleagues that okay, one day we would like to maybe go out to see how we can further our studies.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we are aspiring to like specialize on that tax. We want to
Yeah.
maybe run our career on that tax.
Yeah.
But a colleague of mine made me know that it's not possible that in fact there is no we have their tax law is different from ours. There is no how we can fit into their system, or a lot of that. So with the way Bukola explained everything, I was like, wow. I was looking. I was me and my colleague was like, you see, this is what we were discussing yesterday regarding maybe going maybe pursuing our career under tax
Mm-hmm.
and in Nigeria. And at the end of the day, we won't be having the opportunity maybe someday when we go out to further our career.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Bukola have already hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Now, another thing, one thing I just need a clarification on is okay. We used to hear that okay, people are going out to study sponsorship, maybe through maybe their own self-sponsor.
Mm.
Now, how what as in what are the process through these sponsorship? Is it in terms of okay, is it that is their company that normally sponsor them, or they usually apply for scholarship through all this university? Because I know there are so many universities. I used to see so many scholarship, but at times maybe someone might it might be due to the fact that okay, this scholarship is not meant for everyone. It's for people around this place or that. So like going out to study now, is it basically through scholarship, maybe maybe through the company you are working with, or there are maybe some sites or there are some schools that give scholarship to students that maybe at the end of the day they will come there and study. After some years they will come back to their country. But if they have opportunity, they can still maybe remain there to further their career. So I just want to get an insight.
Okay, so first, I mean, Bukola has already answered your question around tax. A lot of people talk about that tax thing, and I don't know why they talk about it. It's just because there are many, many, many tax people here that have come from Nigeria and all different kind of places. So we've laid that to rest. So that's not a thing. Then real one, there's a difference between sponsorship and scholarship. I think we need to get that straight. Now, I personally don't know. Maybe you guys that are in school can let me know. I'm yet to see someone who says, "Oh, I've gotten like 100% scholarship for UK schooling." It may be available. I personally don't know. I've not heard of it. If it's US, yes, you can get. If you went on our call yesterday for MBA in the US, you will hear all of the things Tommy said there. You can get scholarship, you can get 100% free ride, you can get up to 75%, and all of those. Now, sponsorship on the other side is depending on if you're coming here through the skilled worker route, the firm that is, or the firm or the company that is bringing you here all the way from, say, Nigeria, will get you some sort of certificate to say we are bringing this person in, this person is able to work for us, and they would justify to the government why they cannot get someone of equivalent qualification here in the UK. So that's the company sponsoring them to come. So when you finish your studies here, if you get a company that is able to sponsor you, you can then move your visa from being a student to being a full-time fledged or full-fledged worker. Okay, yeah, there is the Chevening one. That's true. So real one. So that's the difference between sponsorship and scholarship. So other than the one Ifeolu has put on here personally, I've not heard of the random scholarship. It's not like in the US here. In the US you get a lot of scholarship opportunities there. In the UK, is usually a paid ride. But sponsorship is a company saying, okay, they are justifying to the government that they can sponsor, and I think they actually pay for it on a monthly basis or something like that for you to get the opportunity to work and stay here, to get the right to work here. So it's like paying for your right for you to work here, basically. So Abdul Kabir, you asked, do you post job opportunities in the group on LinkedIn? Yeah, so we've got a group of volunteers who are working on different aspects on the group. So the group is still in a mature, it's still like at the baby phase. There are a lot of ideas we have are running on the ground, and one of it is to put job opportunities. Not for the UK, actually, to be honest. I think we're working more with Nigerians, and an opportunity for Nigerians based on the sort of people we have on the group. Maybe once we've got the Nigerian one right, and then we can start working on that, we can then start looking at the UK one. But for now, no. Please, I'd like to ask you a question on how I can perfect my CV, because I was told there's a UK standard when it comes to CV writing. Of course, there's a UK standard. Thank you for putting that up there, Bukola. There is a UK standard, and then there is this gov.uk/ let me look for it for you. And I can send you the link, careers/CV, not this one. Yes, got it. So this will tell you how your CV needs to look like and what you need to do to ensure your CV fits into the UK standard. Yeah, basically there is a UK standard. Some people pay for their CV to be rewritten for them, and some people just sit down and get it through. And of course, if you check online, there will be templates that you can adopt, basically. As long as you ensure that what is sitting in your CV is not just a load of job description, it is actually what you've achieved in your previous roles. That will make sense. So for instance, when I did my service here, I was part of the people who did the budget for the state or whatever. And then of course, what did I achieve from that? So it's not just, oh, I did the budget, or I was part of the team that pulled the budget. It was, what did I achieve? Me being a chartered accountant at the time, what extra value did I add to the whole process of coming up with that budget? That's what should be on my CV, not that I put together a budget. Get what I mean? Sounds good. Any other questions? Ifeoluwa.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah,
there was a time I got an interview with HSBC for a part-time role, and I wasn't able to get through because they were like, the answers to my questions were not what they expected, or that I'm not ready to develop myself more because of my questions. I had Nigerian experience as a banker, so I was just giving them all the scenarios I knew about in Nigeria. So I was a bit disappointed because I felt I was going to get the role. So now my problem is I'm currently studying finance, and I will be done by September. So, and I would like to divert into financial sector, because I used to work in a bank, and I don't know how that's aligned. I did my BSc in accounting, then my master's is currently in finance. However, I don't have I am not a chartered accountant, because I don't have a car, neither do I have ICANN. So I'm a little bit skeptical about applying for some roles I see online. So I don't know if there's anything I can do, or edit my CV, put on some things, or apply for before I can start applying. Because, as when you're done with your studies, you need a sponsorship, and also I'm a little bit confused. That's it.
Hi. Okay, are you still on the call? Okay. Ifeoluwa, I think I'll just answer your question, because I don't know if it's always network. So for if you're on the call while I start sharing my story about a friend of mine who worked with Access Bank. She did, in short, for her master, she did HR, human resource. It has nothing to do with accounting or finance or anything related. But during pandemic, that didn't restrict her. She wanted to just transit something finance. And she applied for BDO. She went to their career, applied for the job. One thing about those jobs, they will train you. So it's not about you having ACC. The ACC you have or ACA would only give you leverage to bid for something higher, which always speaks about your grade, the grade level. So for you that don't have anything accounting, you don't know anything about finance, I can't expect you to apply for something like a managerial role. I can't expect you to apply for something you do because you have no understanding of what they do. So it's either you apply for graduate school or a level above graduate school, depending on your experience. So it doesn't have to do that. You can in the process, you cannot apply for ACCA or CIMA or anyone you want to do and start. So they already know, oh, you're already in the system, you've applied for AC, you're already doing ACCA or CIMA, you're already in the system. So that shouldn't hinder you. So I don't know if I've answered your question right, but that shouldn't be an hindrance for you. So just apply and know what to apply for. Make sure you read the job description. Oh, is this something you can do? Have an understanding on it and apply. Some jobs will tell you, oh, they need someone that is chartered. They need someone that is qualified. If those clauses are not there, then apply for it.
Yeah, I agree
Okay,
with you,
because I
Bukola.
don't want to go into customer service as I was doing back in Nigeria, I did accounting, I'm doing finance. I want to go in that line.
Yeah, that's why I said you need to just train yourself and just register for the professional courses like ACCA. But that shouldn't say shouldn't apply. But make sure it's not job that require that you should be a qualified accountant. But if for some jobs, their description will be like, oh, they need someone that is chartered. So for you that you're not chartered, you're applying, they will trust your CV to one side. But there are some jobs they will tell you, oh, you can apply. Then you apply for it. So far the clause is not there. Then in between, you already registered for ACCA or CIMA. So you start the exam. So you're in the line. So that's what I would say. I go for it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Oh, I think we lost you at the point.
Yes, don't mind this network. I think Zainab, I think Zainab had a question, but I can't see it anymore because what was the question again? I think it should still be in the group chat.
A moment.
Okay.
1 second, let me just check. Okay, Zainab, is it okay to still apply for graduate role even though one has 2 years working experience? Also, I'm currently studying for my master's, which I'll be concluding in September. That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think what I said initially is relative. So you remember me talking about 10 years, 15 years, you can apply for graduate role. But of course, if you're still between like 1 to 3 years, yes, sometimes. Because I remember my intake then back then in Nigeria, there were guys that had like 4, 5 years working experience in the bank and they applied for graduate entry role to join a big four firm. So if you're still in like 1 to 3 years, yes, by all means. The only issue that I've seen so far is if it's a graduate entry role, they will typically not sponsor you because how sponsorship works is this: you are basically bringing an expert from another country that you don't have here. That's how sponsorship works. That's the underlying impact because you have to prove to the government that you cannot get someone who is here. That's it basically. So that's how it works, except for maybe a couple of companies, I don't know. But from all I've heard so far, all I've seen so far is usually for experience rules. So try as much as possible to get those experience or a level above. So for instance, we're applying to like big four firms. Other than like the entry level, there is like experienced associate rule that you can apply to. And for those people that are looking like big four firm is just auditing, big four firm is not just auditing. No. It's not just auditing and tax. In fact, even me, I'm shocked as to the number of services. It will amaze you. So if you're trying to look to join the big fours, in fact, there's something called internal services. These ones don't have anything to do with clients. It's like working in a normal office. There are people even in the finance sector. There are people that are like PAs to like directors and partners. Their back office. There are people who are like that help with admin stuff. There are even people that support the people that face clients to do some work behind the scene. So don't just look at it that, oh, I have to be an auditor, I have to be this, I have to, even for instance, a friend that said, oh, she was a customer service, something. In the big fours, we also have marketing and corporate, we have corporate whatever. Those people that do branding, marketing, all of those things, those people that go to schools and all of that, lots of things you can do. So the best way for you to know what to apply for is to go and sit down, take like some hours, go and sit down, go through all the vacancies from internal services to audit to risk to advisory to tax to whatever, to ESG, to whatever it is. Just go and sit down and say, this one I can't do it now. If I can do that one, I can do it. Then apply. Let me tell you a secret. Again, Ben, I'm coming to you, and Musami, I'm coming to you. Let me tell you a little secret. There's something called diversity in recruitment. I don't know the real word. It means that if a company wants to, if a firm wants to recruit someone to do a particular role, they will rather somebody that has not done it before or does not have perfect match with that experience than someone who has perfect match. So if you have a team of 5 people, they're looking for someone, they will rather someone who has done something differently so that the person will bring the diversity of thinking. Oh, if something comes along, customer service, relationship issue, Ife will be able to address it because she's been in that sector before. That kind of deal. So there's diversity. So don't look at it that, oh, there's just people that have big for experience or whatever. I hope I've been able to answer that question. But yeah. Musami, I think you raised your hands first. You're welcome, Zainab. Musami, if not Ben. Musami, if you're talking, you're on mute. Okay, Ben.
Yeah. Hi, Ore. So far, you have spoken well. I have a question, and it borders around sponsorship. I've gotten a lot of case in points when the conversation with the recruiter has progressed so well and so far, and the almighty question comes: what is your visa status?
Yeah.
I'm on a tier 4 visa, so you will need a sponsorship. Yes, I will need a sponsorship. Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, the client at the moment cannot sponsor. Reason being, they cannot sponsor. It doesn't go beyond that. Now, I try to be a devil's advocate to think that could it be the financial implications of sponsorship that is so much that they cannot bear the burden, or there is another underlying factor that they don't just want to disclose? If it were to be financial implications, how much is it? Is it something that the candidate is willing to bear, right? So if I need sponsorship from you, you cannot pay, I will pay, and then we proceed. Is it a worthy conversation to have with a recruiter that if you're not paying for, so if you don't want to sponsor me because you don't want to be responsible for the financial obligations, can I handle that? Because I need this as much as you want to give it to me, or you don't want to give it to me. That's my question.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about, this is me not being a lawyer or an immigration consultant or anything, and I really do not have deep knowledge about it. But this is what I would say. Personally, I'm putting myself, if I was a business person and I need an accountant and the accountant needs sponsorship, and there is another person who does not need sponsorship, the paperwork, they may looking for an immigration consultant to help you process it with the Home Office. Something goes wrong, or if there is a case, all of those things, I would rather not do it and just give the job to someone who I do not have to do all of that with as a business person. for me, just looking at the amount of people that have turned out to have those issues, I don't think is the money, because they could easily have removed it from your salary in some way. I probably offered you something lower to pay for it. I personally don't think is the money. And in terms of raising it, I think before even trying, okay, so two things I would say, Bukola, you're going to jump in now. Two things I would say is, first, if you still have 2 years on your post-study visa, full 2 years, any job that comes in that is in line with what you want, you can start with it first, and then have that long-term plan that you are actively looking for a role that can sponsor you. From my mind, I don't think, honestly, personally, because it just shows some level of desperation that I'm not quite comfortable with, that you will offer to pay for your own sponsorship. I don't even know that that is legal, to be honest. I don't know that it is legal. So I'm just a bit, it feels a bit dodgy. I know we are all desperate, but personally, I would not advise someone to do that. If they're able to give you sponsorship, they should do it. If they're unable to give you sponsorship, do the work you find first while you're trying to build the experience, and then look for the one that is able to really give you that sponsorship. But in terms of reasoning with them that I will pay, I'm not just, I don't know, Bukola, if you have a different sort of answer, but I'm not comfortable personally.
Okay, so from my own understanding about the sponsorship, I stand to be corrected, but from my own understanding, before, not all companies sponsors, and before you can sponsor, I think you have to meet some criteria, which I don't know. That's when they will give you the license. And what I did was, I already know what I want, and I don't want to apply for post-study. That's my own option. So what I did was, once the recruiter reach out, we say what we want to see, I would let the recruiter know at 8, even before scheduling for interview, I need sponsorship. So if you tell me, oh, so company does not sponsor, we won't push for that. So I won't be emotional, we won't push for that. That recruiters are, oh, sorry, we don't sponsor, there's no need for interview, I move. I already have the list, like the list I shared the link. What I did was I filtered it to the company I wish to work for. I didn't just limit it to Big Four, even if I had Big Four experience. There are other nice companies that are better than Big Four. I had to filter it to what I want, and I was going for it. And I had another plan B that, oh, if this does not work, what do I want to do? Which is what I always said, there should be plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. So because at the end of the day, even if they give you the sponsorship, you still have to pay for, I think, health insurance and whatnot. You still have to pay for that. So I would still support, or I don't think you should push that you want to pay for your sponsor, because the amount they pay the government, I think, is even less than what we think. But I think it's the criteria that is the way important, because if you Google this thing, I think what they pay to government for sponsors is less than £500 or less than £250 for you to apply that, oh, I want to sponsor A. But to get the license, that's the main thing. And most companies don't want to go through that route, and paperwork, getting an immigration lawyer is expensive, to be honest. But just know what you want, try your luck, and have plan A, plan B, plan C. Because at the end of the day, if you get the sponsorship, if it is not healthcare, you still have to pay for insurance. So you still have to pay at some point. So that's why I could just actually, oh. So I don't know if I've answered your question, and that's my own understanding.
Yeah, Buki, thanks. And all right, thanks for the way you analyzed it. And I was just going to mention that the question was not coming from a point of desperation. It was coming from a point of trying to understand for my own education that what's really is the reason why most of these recruiters veer off the route of sponsorship. Because if I'm opportune to show you my my LinkedIn DM, because I own a LinkedIn premium account, so a lot of all these recruiters, they reach out to me in droves. I stopped applying like 2-3 months ago, but even after that, they still reach out to me because I'm on LinkedIn premium, and the conversation progresses up to the stage of sponsorship, right? And I recently came back from the AI Summit in London, because I attended, and same still happened with potential recruiters that I met there. And what most of them are saying is, hold on, finish your program, because my program finishes in September. Try to be on your PSW, and reach out to us. So yeah, I'm very optimistic that something good is going to come out of this process, and I can't get tired of getting the unfortunate list. So let it come, and we'll see how we navigate the bend. But so far it's been
but I'm really happy that you at the minimum buttress the point of, if you can get that LinkedIn premium, please do. It is expensive. I know. If you're looking for a job here and you really don't want to, and you are in that phase of you want to land it, if you absolutely can, please do. And Ben, yes, I really understand where you're coming from, totally. But yeah, I think so. Even for the big firms, they usually would have like an immigrant. Sometimes it's even outsourced, and because of the volume of people they have to sponsor year in year out, it has to be like a full arm of the business to do it. So now compare that to a smaller firm or a smaller company that they can't really afford the expense, because I mean a consultant needs to keep doing all that paperwork with home office and all of that. So but yeah, so yeah, thank you everyone. I don't know if anybody has got any other question, but I think Usami, we called you earlier.
Sorry, I was on a call. Sorry.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bukola. Thank you,
Yeah.
my mentor in LinkedIn. Well, I am also working in AOS here, Magas, working under Magas in AOS under client premises. But my concern here is that actually I was a kind of like more of auditing than even tax. And I want to specialize in auditing. And based on my previous work experience and other thing, I was very good at auditing. But when I saw the opportunity of working with Mazars, I said, okay, leaving and coming to Mazars is really a good distance. So let me join Mazars, even though it is not what I want. But now I was a little bit like concerned. Now working under auditing, that is working under outsourcing, in Mazars. My concern is that if like someone working maybe up to senior 2 or maybe senior 1, and if I want to go to like any other firm, Big 4 or any other firm, and I want to go for an auditing role, would I be still considered under that particular rank or position? Like normally, like if someone is going for a Big 4, the thing is that some one level down, sometimes they give you the same level. But now working under accounting and outsourcing department, what I'm saying is, if I'm going to auditing this department, will I still be considered as maybe, let's say, senior 1?
Are you senior 1 now in Mazars?
No, I'm in associate level.
You're in associate level.
Yes.
So personally, I don't see the need why you need to step down because you're coming from a medium-sized firm. I don't see the need, especially if it's Nigeria. I mean,
switching from outsourcing to audit.
Doesn't matter. You're going still, because if you apply now, you're an associate. You're gonna go in there as an associate. You're not gonna go in there as a graduate trainee, because that you go through a special program for a graduate trainee. So if you're applying directly, you can only apply for an experienced associate. Except, of course, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, just because you may not. You said you have audit experience. You can even go from ANCO directly into a Big 4. You can go directly. So if you've got all this experience before, it depends on how you sell yourself when you get to these interviews, basically. I mean, if you're an experienced associate now, go and apply. If you get the opportunity to interview, make sure you use experienced associates. You can't even step down below that as an experienced hire anyways. So yeah, and if you get to a senior level before you move, which I don't think you should do, if you've got opportunity now to apply now to make a move into the Big 4s. And I mean, yeah, you're already in Mazars. There's Mazars here, and you can apply directly here. Maybe stay one more year in Mazars there and apply directly to maybe another firm here. You can even apply directly to the Big 4, and you can come in directly to the UK. I don't see why not, to be honest.
Okay, thank you.
Bukola?
Even thinking of something, why is in Mazars? Because I know there's something they do. You can move from one department or from one unit to another. So I think you can confirm from your HR if it's possible for you to move. I'm not saying you should discuss with your manager. Confirm with HR and discuss if you can move. Or I know if you have, there's something they do to, like, I don't know what they call it in Max. Where you have someone you like in you call it counselor. Where you have someone you talk to, if you're not happy with what you're doing, you talk to the person. It's just between the two of you. Please don't go and discuss this with your manager.
With your line manager.
Exactly. You can discuss with the HR or someone you talk to and say, oh, you want to move from outsourcing to audit. So if it's possible, they will tell you then. They will tell you the process. Then if it clicks, you just move from outsourcing to audit. So while in Masters you're already doing auditing, then you start applying for other firms and you're getting the experience. Yeah. That should also work too.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's just some noise in the background. So let's take the last question and then let's wrap this up. We've gone over time and my son is here making a lot of noise. So let's take the last question. Bukola, you can answer that question and let's wrap this up.
Is the question on the chat? Hello? Oh no. There's no other question again then. No.
Okay, I mean, that's fine. Thank you. I thought someone was raising up their hand.
No. That's the last question.
All right, no worries. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Bukola, for attending this.
No worries,
really appreciate. All right, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.